Hi guys, welcome back to Ash Talks Basketball, and today I know who's going to win the West, and we're only 10 games in. It seems obvious. There just doesn't seem like a team that can compete with it. I've got 7 teams. I'm going to talk about all of them and say my dislikes and what I like about them, and then at the end I'm going to say who's going to win the West. The team I'm starting it with is the Los Angeles Lakers. They had a great off-season. They added a lot to their bench depth, but I just don't think they have enough. LeBron is aging, Anthony Davis is inconsistent, and they don't have that third-string scorer that can get them through some games, which they really need. Austin Reeves is not there yet that is good enough to really hold his own every once in a while, and I just don't think they're consistent enough to be good. LeBron's only going to be playing 30 minutes a night, and we know Anthony Davis's history with injuries can be really bad, and that's why I think the LeBron era and winning a championship for the Lakers' window has kind of closed now, and I just don't think it's going to happen. The next team is the Sacramento Kings. They look really good. They have been struggling to start the season, but I just think they're a bit too young. They're a team that haven't really shown that they can be good in the playoffs yet. I think this is one of the better up-and-coming teams, but I just don't see them winning anytime soon. They've got a lot more development years to go, but I think they could be one of the best teams in the West in the next 3 to 4 years, and they can compete for a championship, but I just don't think it's there yet. The next team is the Phoenix Suns, and I think everybody can see the problem with them. They've got nowhere near enough consistency from their best players. Kevin Durant's always been injury prone. Bradley Beal was struggling to start the season. Devin Booker didn't play the first few games. And if this continues, I don't even think they'll make the top 6. I think they'll struggle in the regular season. The bench depth they picked up this offseason was good, like Eric Gordon and Grayson Allen, but it's not enough to stay consistent throughout the regular season. And that's a big problem for a lot of these teams I'm seeing. They just don't have enough consistency to stay up there in the playoffs and winning for a 7-game series consistently. The next team is the Golden State Warriors, and from seeing them to start the season, I just think it won't work. Curry's their only consistent scorer. Chris Paul has looked good, but it's just not enough. Klay Thompson looks like he's nearing the end of his consistency. He's been really struggling to start the season, and they just have no strong scores other than Curry. And we've seen in playoff series that doesn't work. They struggled last year, and I just don't see them doing it this year because they don't have consistently on offense like Jordan Poole. Although he was hurting the team in places, he was really helping in others. So I just don't think they'll be enough. I think they'll be good, but just the aging roster and the loss of offensive help for Curry just won't do it this year. The next team is the Dallas Mavericks. They have looked amazing to start the season, but I just don't think Luka can be the team leader a championship team needs, or even a finals team needs, to actually continue to win games in the playoffs. I know Luka can go on 1-game stretches or 2-game stretches where he completely dominates, but you need an entire team to win. And other than him and Kyrie, the rest of that roster kind of sucks. And I just don't think they have enough around him. And they're going to have to find a really good team that fits perfectly around Luka that can be good enough to win a championship. Because Luka's really hard to work with. He gets a lot of turnovers. He's extremely ball dominant. And it's just going to be hard to work with if Dallas want to win a championship with him anytime soon. The next team is the Clippers. Now, what were they doing with that James Harden trade? I know it looks good on paper, but if you've watched a basketball game in your life, you knew that wasn't going to work. James Harden with Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George all trying to be their best isn't going to work. Two of the most ball-dominant guards ever on the same team. I know Russ doesn't think he has as much as a role as he used to, but he's still very ball-dominant. And so far, we've seen that this really doesn't work unless they find a good change or way to fix it, or putting one of those two on the bench. It's not going to work. And knowing both of their egos, none of them are going on the bench. So unless they find a miraculous change that they can do, this season looks like it's going to be a dumpster fire for the Clippers. And finally, the Nuggets. I think we all saw this coming. They won the championship last year. Jokic is the best player in the world, and they built a perfect team around him. They're good in the regular season. They're good in the playoffs. There's nothing I can argue against them. Maybe an injury could hurt them, but I just don't see them struggling. Jokic is bad on defense, but he's got people to help him. And I think it's kind of overestimated how bad he is on defense. He's not that bad. He's 7 foot. He can still stay consistent enough, and we saw in the playoffs because they won a championship. And I think they're the only competitive team for a championship in the West, unless there's a drastic change to any other team making them competitive. I know some of them can be competitive, but they just don't look like they will be consistent enough to be. There's really talented teams, but can they be the one to stay? And that's all I have for you today. So thank you for watching the video. Tell me in the comments who you think will win the West this year, and have a nice day.